Allen, think a plan. Testing workflows with Temporal. A new grandstand. Building an app with serverless in mind. Live streaming their journey. Leaving no one behind.
I feel obligated to comment on those every single time. It's really it made me laugh so much.
They are pretty funny what AI can do nowadays, and
yeah. And you know what? Oddly enough, I was reading an article on a plane yesterday that was talking about the app that I used to create that music compared with another one called I don't remember what it was, but it was very obvious where their loyalties lied. Very obvious, and it was not with the service that I use. I might change it. I might change it up next week, and we try the other service and do like some EDM version. Apparently, it does really good EDM songs.
Bring up my glow sticks.
What did you say?
Bring my glow sticks, right? So
yes, please.
Rave.
Please
like
do
in
that.
The 90s.
In the 90s, yeah, still do that, dude. I was at a conference this week, and the big after party at the end had T-Pain, just right there in this really small venue. I was probably like 15 feet away from him. It's like the first, like when you and I were at reInvent at Replay when Martin Garrix was there. I was like, I was up closer than that. It sounded like as loud as Martin Garrix with all the lights. It was pretty legit.
T-Pain, man. I saw several videos around this. I was like, that's got to be cool. So
it was really cool. It was really cool. And I'm pretty sure like most of the people that were in the crowd were millennials because it was hitting with most of the people in there.
Early 2000s kind of music.
Yeah. Yes. All right. So today, you and I are community champions for Believe in Serverless. And part of the responsibilities that we have is we are flies on the walls, and we lurk and we see what people are talking about. And I think every time we talk about what are people using for orchestrated workflows, everybody says, I've heard of Temporal, but I've never used it.
Yep.
And then everybody just says, yeah, let's just all agree to use step functions. So let's today use Temporal and let everybody know what it's actually like. Now, Andres, you and I usually prepare before these shows marginally, but we do prepare some.
Be a tough week for me, but excited to jump in and try this. But again, for everybody out there watching, less preparation than usual, so that probably makes it funner. So let's see how it turns out.
It is, yeah. We're going to get very honest opinions today on what this is. And I'm going to do my best to tamper back the unfamiliarity, the confusing unfamiliarity with complexity, because I was using it yesterday. I was preparing yesterday when I was sitting in an airport at a layover waiting, and I was trying it, and it was non-intuitive to me. So we're going to see if you share that opinion, and we're going to see if we can actually make something work meaningfully. So before we go, I actually need to put my headphones in. I am not at home, as you guys can see, and it's a little loud here. So let me change this real quick. Andres, while I spend 10 seconds changing this, can you kill some time? We could watch the video again too. We could always always do that for the people that joined us a couple minutes late.
No, I'll talk about my background as always. I try to prepare something related to what we're doing. I mean, I don't know if there's tambourines and marching bands or pianos. Maybe not. Maybe like the Will Ferrell and Zoolander kind of thing. But we got some musical setup that we'll be orchestrating.
I do appreciate your commitment to the theme today. Really, it's not even today, just all the time. I do appreciate your commitment.
We'll see what we plan for next week, and I just try to find stuff my kids have to put in the background. This time it was a little guitar, a little tambourine for Sam the squirrel, and Baby Yoda is playing the piano. It's fun.
I missed Baby Yoda. Where is that?
He's right there. Right there.
Oh, okay. Hold on. Let me take away your name so we can see it. Oh, there he is. And we're back. Okay. So
let's jump right in, right? So
I like that Danielle knows. I feel like she knows me so well. Doesn't have a Miller Lite decoration in my house. That's how you know I'm not at home. Okay, so let me shuffle things around and share screen with all of you. Here we go. Okay, so I actually want to start on the Temporal website because one of the questions that we always ask when we're talking about serverless in general is, well, how much does it cost? A lot of people say step functions, which is really what I think primarily we're going to be evaluating against. A lot of people say it's expensive, and I don't really disagree with that in general. But when I was looking at the documentation for Temporal the other day, I signed up for an account and immediately was brought to this page. So this is, you log in for the very first time and it says, well, here's the pricing. It's usage based, but also you have to pay $200 a month in support minimum. So if you're not using it, you still have that $200 a month. And I thought for sure that wasn't right. So I joined the Temporal Slack and asked, is there a free tier? Can I use this for free? I'm trying to do this on a live stream. And they said, no, it is, you have to have the $200 a month support plan. And there's two levels. They have the 200 and they have $2,000 a month, which I think is like an enterprise level support, higher SLAs for that. So we're going to actually run everything locally today because they did say if you want to actually try it and you want to get your feet wet, do run it local. So we're going to do that.
Okay. Yeah, I was wondering that when you mentioned the price tag there, right, where it was, I started shuffling. It's like, well, I don't want to pay $200 just for a stream, right? So I was trying to think, hey, should we change the subject for today? So it is interesting how to get in and use it. That this is the first screen you see, right? When you're trying to sign in and you see $200 a month. It's like, I would like to start without support, right? Just to try it out and maybe not even reach out in the forums, the things that are free. But yeah, that was interesting to see as far as initialization.
I agree. And if you look at this website, you can actually tell I'm still in the onboarding experience. There's not a toolbar. It doesn't say my name. It doesn't have any of that. It just says billing. So you have to put in your credit card in order to do that. And that's for using Temporal Cloud. And you can, honestly, it's been a little bit confusing for me. What?
Can you skip this step? Is there a, I don't want cloud. No, there's the create account, but
just create.
Yeah. Cool.
So I stopped there, went to Slack and say, hey, how can I use this? And they said, run locally. So we got a question. Is there a self-hosted Temporal solution? I don't get that impression. But I could be wrong. I will not claim to be an expert. I won't claim to be the thing that's right below an expert. Right now, we're going to figure out, can I consider myself a beginner along with Andres?
And I did Google right now quickly, and there is self-hosted Temporal cluster guide. So there might be something around that. Ziad, man, always.
Yeah, he's got good questions. And there is an Ask AI on here. So like in the Temporal docs, there is a question in here or a thing that you can ask for,
cool.
for that kind of thing. It's kind of slow.
Hopefully get the same resource I got.
So you went through Google and I'm just going through this RAG pipeline on their website.
Yep.
Maybe it's creating all the content that it's going to answer with the reason it's taken so long.
This is sure, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah, this is the importance of response streaming. Like this is what happens with AI when you wait for the entire generated response to complete and then send that back. Versus a streaming response where you get little bits of it as it's generated.
Yeah, very different.
Actually see.
it's the user experience. I mean, because here I don't know, maybe it got stuck.
It does. It does feel like that. I don't know if it is stuck or not, and I'm about to close it because this is not good for. This is not entertaining show to watch.
Yeah, no. Got an answer from Google, so that's fine.
Yeah, Google worked. Okay, so usually when we're doing this show, we come up with a funny theme to build something around, and we try to build that or as much of it as we can in 2-ish hours. This is so far off of my realm of comfort that we're not going to do that. I think what we're going to do today is we're going to do one of these quick starts. We're going to get that up and running, and we're going to look at the pieces and the components of it and compare that to like the step functions experience, just to see like, here's a orchestration service, here's another one. What are the pros and cons of it? And this is also a big departure for you as well, because I also don't get the impression that Temporal is serverless in any capacity.
Yeah.
It talks a lot about state management and state transferal.
Yeah, and that's why we're doing this, right? Get a comparison for what we see is, hey, and like you said, there's the thread that talks about there's this other state machine kind of service that's not step functions, and usually not many people have used it. There's usually just like one that says, yeah, I've used it and it's cool. And it doesn't go further than that. So we're going to try it for ourselves and get our assessment without confusing complexity or
Unfamiliarity.
Yeah,
Yep.
that. So
I should have let you say it. That was. You want to say it again?
No, I can't pronounce that word. Unfamiliarity.
I caught that, and that's why I wanted you to say it. That's why I asked you again. I wanted you to try.
You know, when there's
okay.
R's in the middle of a word, that's what I struggle because I want to roll the R, and then I kind of, oh no, I shouldn't roll it. And
do it.
Weird. So
do it.
Unfamiliarity.
Yes, please talk like that all the time.
I will not.
Okay. So before we go in and we pull the source code down, there are a decent number of SDKs that they support out of the box. So Go, Java, PHP, Python, and TypeScript. And Andres, we just to add up on the things that we're going to do today that we don't normally do. They do provide some examples in JavaScript, but all of the things that you can pull in Quick Start are in TypeScript. So we're going to be struggling through some types today.
So good.
Which is just so funny to say because you and I were .NET developers for a long time.
Yeah.
And then we discovered JavaScript and we're like, no rules. No rules for me.
Yeah.
So we're going to be using TypeScript today. And all I prepared ahead of time was installing the Temporal the Temporal CLI. Ziad said any. Yeah, that's probably what we're doing for most of this time.
I see a type, I put any on it, and we're good to go. It's we can move on.
Yep. So I'm on a Windows machine. I usually get really bad reactions when I say that. I'm on a Windows machine. So in order to install the CLI, I downloaded it from the website, and then I installed like just a regular executable. So what I had to do was move the executable to like the app data directory and then add that path into my environment variable for path, and then I was good to go. So the experience was not as easy as npm install temporal -g,
global. Yeah.
Which is what I like to, that's what I like to do for tools like this. But
it is what it is. It's similar to what I had to do for
Well, one of us is frozen, and I don't know which one it is. So we'll wait for Andres, and I'm going to continue like I am the one that's not frozen. So I really don't know if I'm the one that's frozen or not. Okay, thank you, Sned. Okay, so we're just going to jump into VS Code then and use these quick starts. So I'm just blazing through here. The prerequisites, I was just talking about getting this stuff set up. We're good there. So we are going to run. He's back. He's back. Welcome back. How was your trip?
It was fun. I went grab some water. It's all good. Had some minor a minor internet blip, but we're back.
Okay, glad you're back. Okay, so VS Code, all I'm doing is pasting the command that they say to start a new project. So we're gonna use the latest version. We're gonna call it Hello World, and then we're gonna pull a sample down. And so that is actually going and it's fetching the data from GitHub for the Hello World sample.
Cool.
So let's
That
do
seems
that.
pretty standard. I mean, it feels very similar to how you create a React app or something like that, or SAM.
Yep, we get this nice little wizard. Can you see that okay? You can read that fine?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so I did this yesterday. So that's why I was saying I already have a folder named Hello World. But I deleted everything. I thought I deleted everything. Apparently I left the folder name. So you can see it's pulling down the source code. It has all these goodies in here that I like to just skip over when we're doing live streaming, like ESLint and TypeScript and all that. But let's see, do you want to initialize a Git repository? Nah. Okay. So now we're good. So it created that Hello World folder. So I'm going to go into there. And Andres, we're sharing this terminal, right? So like I just changed directories. You see it too.
The internet blip kicked me out. So I'm rejoining the workspace.
Okay. So let's take a look. The first thing I like to do is let's see what I just installed. So I'm going to go to the package.json because I saw it was installing stuff. And then it told me to run a couple of scripts. So I want to see what that's actually going to be doing first, 'cause I don't trust this company yet. So we have the 4 temporal dependencies and then nano ID. Have you used that package before?
I have
Nano
not.
ID?
Is it a type of UUID or something like that?
I don't know.
I'll
I
Google
don't know.
that.
Let's ask Amazon Q real quick.
Nano ID. Let's see who's faster.
Oh, goodness. Okay.
A tiny, secure, URL-friendly, unique string ID generator for JavaScript. There you go.
Oh, my goodness. All right, we're not going to do this. We're not going to use Q, but you got the answer. So thank you for that.
Yeah. So it is a unique ID creator, but it's browser-friendly and stuff like that. URL.
Okay. So as far as the dependencies go, temporal and that. And then we have a bunch of dev dependencies that look pretty standard for building in TypeScript. And that's nice that they have a package in here to support that for testing for temporal. And then, yep, everything else is formatting, linting, cool. And then for the scripts, we have build, which is just running a TypeScript build. Lodge, lint, okay. Okay, easy enough. Those are pretty trustworthy commands, I would say. Nothing surprising that looks like it's gonna, mine Bitcoin on my machine. Okay.
It would probably crash once they started, but yeah.
All right, so the first thing that we can do then, I have 2 terminals. One is for actually running commands. The other one is for running temporal. So I can do temporal server. Oh man, we're gonna see if I remember. Start dev.
Run your first program. I'm opening the docs. Oh, look at that. Good memory.
Thank you. Thank you. So it has the web UI and it has metrics, and then it also has the temporal server, which I guess is just the brains. It's the server side code that we wouldn't really be able to do anything with. So let's look at the web UI. Well, this is slick.
Nice. Okay, 0 workflows. You can populate the web UI with sample. Didn't you import, or this is just the basic? It doesn't include any.
I did, but this is like the default temporal dashboard.
Okay.
So honestly, I like it when companies do this, where they say, where hopefully, most of the situations where you have a blank dashboard is getting started. So they add these getting started things.
From there you can add. It doesn't pre-add stuff for you that you later then forget to delete, and it's always there in your project.
Yeah. Yes. So let's add a workflow and see what it does. And I don't actually remember how to do that one. So let's follow these instructions. Okay. So it's just walking us through what it did, which is nice. Basically what I just did. Create a workflow. So we're going to go in. How do I run it? This is, we're probably going to circle back to this, Andres.
Yeah.
This is telling us the pieces that we just installed.
You just want to run a workflow.
I just want to run it.
Execution. Yep. I think it's this.
Start a workflow.
There you go.
npm run workflow. That was easy. I should have guessed that.
And I saw that command. Didn't think about that.
Okay, Andres. So why don't you type that command so we can show how truly collaborative we are?
It's on the command one. Okay. npm
run workflow.
Look at that. It's like magic.
Okay, so it started workflow, and then it gave an ID. I guess this is a nano ID.
I would think it would be smaller, but yeah.
Ooh.
Don't go there, Alan. Don't go there.
I'm not going. I'm not. No, we're good. We're good. Okay. So it says +1. Now, I don't actually know. What do you think this +1 means? Do you think we've had one notification that would require this, or do you think we have one workflow?
I think we have one workflow running. It's so it's notifying that we have one workflow that we just started, and there it is. So if I were to open another one, can I open a new terminal on your machine? No, that's not.
I sure hope not. Why would you do another? Oh, yeah. Okay, never mind.
To run another.
Why don't you kill it? Can you try to kill that one, and we can see what it does?
Yeah.
I assume just Control-C will kill it, but I don't actually know. Tell me when you do it.
I killed the wrong one. Let me start the server again, Alan. Did anything? Oh yeah, I guess if you try to but you can see it killed the workflow, and you got the -1, even if with.
Oh yeah, look at that. I still don't know if that little indicator is showing like a diff in the number of workflows that are in the display, or if it's like a number of notifications.
Can you open one more terminal, and I can run another run and see if it shows +1 when I run another one. npm.
You don't have. Hold on. You don't have write access for that yet.
I requested it.
Okay, there you go.
Okay, npm run workflow.
Okay, so now we have. You got to change directory into where we were, into hello world.
Was it just
okay? So what we've done now is we have 2 concurrent workflows running locally, in theory, because it doesn't actually look like it's doing anything. There it is.
There it is. +1. So it is a diff of the amount of workflows you have already running.
Yep.
If I kill one, I'll kill the second one. You should get the -1. I need to actually press yes.
I would expect this to be like super fast. The real-time notifications, because it's all local.
Yeah. Yeah. I already killed one, so it's not.
Maybe that doesn't actually kill the execution. Maybe we left it hanging. How did you kill it? What'd you do?
Control-C.
That's what I would have done. Okay.
Let me try to sound cool. Command-C.
That sounds super cool. Yeah. Command-C. What is the Linux command for that? Or what is? I guess that's not a. Never mind. That was a dumb question. Sounded even less cool. Okay. So no workers running. Is this? I wonder if this is. First, I don't know what a worker is. You want to speculate?
It's
when you scroll.
Because you scroll through the documentation, it said get a worker up and running and activities. So I'm thinking a worker is the equivalent of a state machine, and activities is how you're stitching the steps, right? That's my speculation. I have no idea.
Yeah, I mean, coming from the slight DevOps background that I have, where I was, configuring team city builds and working with agents and all that, I'm pretty sure that it's an agent. That's a piece of compute, a piece of stateful compute that will grab things off of the queue and do things with it.
Which I would compare to a full state machine in step functions, right?
Mhm.
That's your execution environment. That's kind of your agent, your worker.
Honestly, I'm not sure there is a good
direct comparison.
Yes.
Okay.
So I just got visited by a massive dog here at the house that I'm staying in. You want to see him?
Let's see.
Let me get my tracker up. Okay, here we go. Follow me, camera. So this dog looks just like my dog, except he is twice
Bigger.
the size and twice the weight. He's massive.
It's a pretty dog.
Yeah, he is a pretty dog, and he has a tail. My dog doesn't have a tail.
Ooh.
Okay, so Ziad asked a question. He said, "Is what we're doing right now running Docker under the hood?" Let's.
I'm gonna assume no, because you're not running Docker on your machine.
I have Docker installed on my machine.
But is it running?
That's what I was going to check. Honestly, I was just going to check the task manager and see if I have Docker Docker going on.
This feels so personal, Alan. We're looking.
It really does. I'm somewhat regretting opening this up. No, there's no Docker processes running right now. No.
Yep. Let me ask AI. How does it run locally? Is it using Docker?
So this says, though, I'm looking at this, and it says that the workflow is running, but there are no workers running, which to me, I don't know, that status sounds wrong to me. Like if I was designing this system, I probably would have said that it's pending, or something that indicates that it is not actually being worked. Or I don't know.
I'm gonna look at their. I want to look at their pricing. If there's like a one that's based off of price of time when it's running, it doesn't seem like it's that. So I wonder gigabyte hour, but that's storage. So yeah, I was just wondering if it was running, you're getting charged for something, and it's like, hey, let's start it once it's running, because it's running some sort of compute, but it's not actually. It doesn't have anything to execute within it.
Oh, so you know what? Actually, let me take the screen away for a second so we can talk about that. When I was at, where was I? I was at a conference late last year, GopherCon, I think, in San Diego, and Temporal was one of the sponsors of that conference. And I was talking to them specifically about how it works, because I love workflow orchestration. I've built an entire brand on things like that. And I was like, how do you do it? What's the secret? And you own the compute as a consumer. So Temporal in their durable, I don't remember what they call it, durable, I don't know. They are really just responsible for state management. That's really what it is. So they know the pieces that you start here and you go over there. You logically branch this, and it knows the definition of the activities. Basically, like in step functions, an activity would be a task or an individual step. And then it uses it on your compute, on your machines.
Okay.
So interesting.
Yeah. And I can see the appeal for some consumers that want to control the compute, right? There's a lot of us that like that, a lot of us that don't like that, but that's a big differentiator as far as the market it's trying to pull. It's I want to run it on my own, which usually I don't.
Yeah. And, once I win the lottery and I have $200 to spend on support so we can actually try Temporal Cloud. Until then, no, we're not going to do that. I actually wonder if we could get it running in like Fargate and have it do something there. I don't think we could get it to run in Lambda. And honestly, if we could, why wouldn't we just use step functions instead?
So and I think let's see how we can progress this, right? Again, very little preparation. So let's get something set up. Then we can see how we can get it deployed somewhere.
Well, first impressions
where it's not Temporal Cloud, because I don't want to pay $200.
Mm-hmm. So I did ask. They charge for state transitions and storage. So that's what they charge for the serverless usage based piece.
And storage is like the actual state context, for example. Is that what they're considering storage, or do you actually have like a S3 equivalent where you send files and keep them
Honestly,
there
I don't
for
know.
a while?
I don't know. We could try to find that out.
Yeah.
Let me refresh this page to see if the AI will work. I'll kick off a question and then we'll circle back in 5 minutes when it answers and see what it says. I feel like I'm being too mean. Maybe not.
I did get back from the AI, and it says the Temporal CLI includes a self-contained distribution of the Temporal server and web UI, which means you can run a Temporal development cluster locally on your machine without needing Docker. So to answer the questions yet, it's not using Docker. To install, you can use Homebrew, blah, blah, blah. So a bunch of the extra information that an AI dumps on you. Look, it was faster. Okay. And it is streaming.
It was
so
faster. Yes, it was. I don't know. Maybe my session timed out. I did have that open since yesterday. Okay, so charging for storage. So we have active storage and retained storage. So like hot and durable. Yeah. Okay, so active storage is. Can you read that? No.
Yeah, close up
I can
a couple times. There you go.
Okay. So active storage is used to store active workflows. The cost for that is 4.2 cents per gigabyte hour.
You can purchase
Okay.
credits.
Interesting. That's priced like Lambda is for compute. Right? Yes. Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Gigabyte hour, yeah. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. If you purchase credits, the storage costs are
It's
tiered
cheaper.
and measured in gigabyte hours. Yeah, which makes sense. Okay. And then retained storage is the long-term storage of event history. So again, there's an equivalent of that in step functions, which is even
The
called the same
execution.
thing, the event history. Yeah. Of closed workflows. So that's just state. It's your receipt for workflows that have run. Okay. And then it's important to know that these costs are measured per namespace.
Let me see. How long can a workflow run for? Or, like step function or a state machine step functions you can run for a year if it's standard.
Yeah. Yeah.
Workflow run.
Let's let you look at that. And
since it's hosted, I'm thinking as long as you want to pay for.
I agree with that. I agree. While you get that answer, let's poke around at what was installed and see these pieces. Because I guess let me flip back real quick. So looking at the dashboard, it says that there aren't any workers running. So that's task number one that I want to do is I want to figure out how to get a task running. How do we get a worker running? I want to do that and see this execute end to end, and then I want to see how we can modify that and figure out if we can do anything a little bit more meaningful than print hello world. Okay, so the pieces that were installed. So Mocha, so that's the test stuff. So we can ignore that for now because we don't test here. We have 4 files: activities, client, worker, and workflows. Let's look at activities. Okay, so this is kind of like that state. These are the states inside of step functions. These are the things like this could potentially have been a Lambda function, but instead it's literally just code.
Yep.
And so this would be where you could do any of your work. So if you were actually building stuff in a production scenario, you would have your connection management to your databases and actually read and write from the DB in here. Okay, it's interesting that it's async, but I guess it makes sense that it's async because there will be some scenarios where you need to do that.
But is it required to be async? Probably.
I don't know. Should we try? Well, no. Let's get it working.
Let's get something working. So
yeah,
you had the documentation. So in the documentation, it had how to create a worker, and I guess you have the file there. I think you need a worker to then be able to have the worker run an activity, right?
Yeah. Yes, and we'll do that in a sec. So this is the client, which I don't actually know what this is. So it's pointed locally. In production, you kind of give it some of those things. Connect to the default server location. Okay. Okay. So this looks like it's like the test runner to me.
Or a way to trigger basically what we did from the CLI, but by code, right? How to start the workflow execution with.
But yeah, I think that's workflow. Yeah, that's all it's doing. It's just running. It's just executing that code.
Simple
Okay,
enough.
so that's the test runner. So nothing like meaningful, when it comes to how does Temporal work there. Actually, you know what? Let's look at that for a second, because it does several things. It creates a connection, and then it creates a client that uses that connection. So I guess that could have been one line, but for the sake of explanation, that's nice. And then we're just calling client.workflow.start. So compared to something like step functions, there's a lot that the SDK does automatically for you. Like it does, like you can do basically all of these things in the AWS SDK when you're starting a workflow, like in a Lambda function or some other compute. It's not the same words, but
it's creating the step function client, right? Instantiating it and doing the start sync or start execution command, which that would be line 19. That's basically the equivalent of the command.
Yes. And if you weren't running inside of the AWS ecosystem, let's say you were running in a container you were hosting yourself, you have to initialize it similarly to this. But a lot of us, when we're building Lambda functions and we initialize the step functions client or whatever client it is, DynamoDB, we don't pass any arguments in, because under the hood, it's actually looking for environment variables that exist natively inside of the AWS ecosystem. And it uses those to establish the connections for you.
Yep.
So not really any different here. And then it's just saying workflow.start. And then it's saying where do we want it to go? Here are the arguments that we're going to pass into it. Okay, this is an array.
Did not like that, Alan.
Why?
Hover over. Oh, I can hover over on my end.
It's not assignable to type. All right, we're just going to use your name then. I don't understand.
Is it an object? Let me see the type.
I don't know. Square bracket to me means array, but maybe it doesn't. Freaking TypeScript, man. Okay.
Well, it's preventing you from breaking it. So
yes, I know. I guess I prefer runtime errors over compile time errors.
Oh, don't say that.
I know. No, I'm kidding. Please know that was a joke. It's not true. Okay, and then we're waiting, and then it's just doing an await. That's why it's taking so long. That's why the terminal is idling, because it's waiting for handle.result, and we don't have any workers running. So as soon as we get that worker up and going, then it will actually resolve and it'll free this up. So let's look at that. Workflow or worker. Okay, so it establishes a connection with Temporal server. We might not be able to do the okay.
Several terminals. I can't run localhost on my house, Alan. 2 years.
No, we should do another live stream. I saw a company also at GopherCon where I got to know Temporal that basically opens up ports to your home network securely.
Hey.
So, I mean, if we did that meaningfully, that you would be able to get in. Pretty much anybody watching, if we didn't abstract away API keys or credentials, would be able to do it as well. Which I don't. I like you all, but I don't know.
We haven't been good at abstracting those things, but we immediately delete all that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so TLS and gRPC metadata configuration goes here. Wonder what it's using gRPC for, besides back and forth communication with that worker. So the worker, when we're initializing it, we're registering the workflows themselves so they know what to do. So we're basically putting in metadata inside of this worker, which is a surprise to me. No, it's not. Okay, let's talk about this. Let's talk about this a little bit. So you're creating a worker and you're basically scoping it with these parameters. So you're providing it with the namespace, which queue to pull from or to work off of. And then you are also giving it the workflow definitions and the activities, I guess, that it can process, which is a really nice, like on the surface, it sounds like that's crappy. That should just be an API request that worker is doing on initialization to just go fetch everything. But when we're talking about something from like a role-based access control or scoping permissions down, it actually sounds like a nice way to do it.
Yeah.
In this case, it's just giving it everything.
Yeah, everything is in that path, which is where's that? Oh, I guess it's just that workflows, which has the green.
Yeah. Yep. So it's starting to make sense how these things are all piecing together, these 4 TypeScript files. I like the way that it's laid out. And then activities, I guess, was also done like this. Yeah, import star as activities. Okay. And then it's start accepting tasks on the hello world queue. Workers run until it encounters an unexpected error or the process receives a shutdown signal. Okay, by default, worker logs are written in the runtime logger. So maybe we just missed something in here.
There's an npm start there for the worker. I can run it.
Hold on, let me do a new. I got it. And then we'll actually watch it as well so we can see logs.
And Alan, going back to how long these workers can run for, it's interesting. It's different. It's more on it runs until it hits the limits and not so much time. So it has an example where if you have a workflow that makes 1 API request per day, can run almost for 600, 250 days. So basically it runs until it hits the history count limit, which is 50,000 events, or it hits the total size of the workflows event history is 50 megabytes. So it could run for a while.
Can you share your screen? And we can take a look at what you're reading. So I am super distracted because what you're saying is super useful, but I'm also now looking at worker logs and I wanted to see what it did. So I want to see the screen that you have.
Close up. So here's where it's saying exceeding certain limits, right? So it's not time-based per se, but it can run until it's capped at 50,000 events. Activity or firing a timer, blah, 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 or the total size of the workflow's event history. If this limit is reached, the workflow is also terminated. So here's the example I was telling you. In terms of actual timer duration, a workflow can run for days, months, years. And this is the API request per day can run for almost 6,250 days, which is like, 20 years?
Yep.
Oh, there it is. If I only kept reading.
Years. I think we've already covered in pretty much every episode of this show that developers don't read. So
yeah, we just keep confirming it.
Yeah.
I tried to do the math before reading the parentheses that actually gave me the answer.
Okay, so that's really
it's an interesting way. Yeah, and I mean we'll dig into the metrics hopefully in a bit, where maybe this is something you can keep tracking. Maybe have alarms around, hey, I'm at 40,000 events history for this. So things to look at, and once we get something running.
Yeah, I think that limit specifically, at least as far as step function goes, is like it just makes a pit come in your stomach when you hit it for the first time ever. Like when you have an execution that's doing a lot of stuff. And I think you and I hit it. I think we were working together the first time I saw it. And it's just like well, crap, what do we do? That's because that's really hard. It's like I have a workflow that needs to run X amount of steps, what do I do?
Yeah, and something, yeah, there's ways, obviously, you can fix that, but once you're so far in to hit that error, and then now you can hit that error, right? Because your application has evolved enough where there's situations where it can hit that, like the state limit exceeded or the execution count. Like you said, you panic, you say, okay, how can I reduce this? Okay, let me bundle up more actions in one or stuff like that, which is not always the best way, but a distributed map, for example, has been a blessing for me to abstract those things where you're running a map. Usually when you run out of size and execution history, it's with the map. So now with the distributed, you can blow that up a lot more and not hit limits.
Good old advanced techniques for that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I would be curious. Let's keep that in the back of our heads and figure out like how would we approach a model like that with Temporal as we're learning a bit about it. This has already been super helpful for me. Like I feel significantly more comfortable looking through this code about what it can do and how to pass things in. It definitely feels like it's secure as well because you're controlling exactly what goes in it. And these pieces are relatively simple. And I like the way that this project is structured specifically because it's like all of the code that you could potentially use can be in one file if you want. I don't typically endorse that, but it can be.
Yep.
In here, you can do it like domain driven inside of here. Like these are my data access, the data access activities or whatever.
Yep. Seems pretty flexible.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming it has unit tests, right? Because I see that Mocha folder there.
Yeah, let's get to that in a second. I actually want to look at workflows first, and then we'll jump over to Mocha and we'll see how it's being tested. I imagine, that's Step Functions has the local testing capability. I haven't used it. Have you used it?
I have not. Well, there's the local portion of it, and Lars abstracted that in his SAM CLI tool.
XAMPP. Yep.
XAMPP. And then there's the one I've used is in the console. There's a button to test API, and you just test that or test state or that step, and you immediately test it there to see, hey, this is why the path is not matching or stuff like that. So pretty interesting.
Yeah.
I haven't tried it locally though.
Me neither. But given that, it feels like this, like Temporal in general, would be extremely easy to run in a CI pipeline because it's just these commands. Like basically, what we're doing could be in a pipeline because it's just the CI.
One of the big struggles with state machines and step functions is testing it. How do I test the flow and all that? I know there's the testing framework. I haven't tried that. To be able to kind of unit test your step function workflows. But having it in this model, obviously there could be trade-offs, but this allows you to be able to cover that with test easily without having to.
For sure. It looks like really
because it's just code.
Thing. Yeah, it's this right here. There's your difference. The address.
Yeah.
Can, start it up in a GitHub action, then connect to it, and then you're good. And then this is parameterized on deployment to where it uses localhost during CI, and then when it's actually deployed, it gets the production URL or wherever it's going, not localhost. Okay, so the workflows here. So this is the workflow, and this is the part where I start getting confused again. Just going from an intuitive thing, like can we self-discover what's going on without reading the docs? And not because it's TypeScript. TypeScript is not helping me here with my understanding, but
so it has the proxy activities, it has all the activities, it's the stitching activities together, right? What I don't see yet.
Mm-hmm. The good thing about
that's
you get IntelliSense.
Okay. And proxy activities was something in the activities TS that was pulling in all the activities, right?
I don't know. Proxy activities is an object coming from the temporal
Oh,
workflow package. And then it's using activities here, the type of activities, and that's being imported from here. So we're exporting
okay. The
everything,
activities just has that.
and it's just returning a string, a promise that returns a string.
So
Where were we? Workflows? Okay, yeah. So we're getting proxy activities, which configure activity functions with any activity options. This method may be called multiple times to set up activities with different options. So this is like it, I'm pretty sure like exactly like the tab that you have in step functions that lets you say the timeout, the heartbeat,
okay.
probably some other
It's
things. Let's see what it.
it's adding the base config, and so that's what the proxy activities would be giving you, I guess, then for these activities that you're defining for this workflow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay. So really the only thing that it's doing is setting the start to close timeout. So I can use context clues to know the start to close timeout means that execution will not go longer than a minute. If it does, it'll time out and the execution will fail, which means we can test that. We are certainly going to test that when we're actually running. We'll create an activity that sleeps. We'll lower this to lower. But here's something interesting that I'm just realizing now, since I read English, reading 1 minute makes total sense. But when you're coding, that's a string. That's how do I know what to put in here? Like, what can I do for like seconds, or what is the format? Yes, number of milliseconds. Well, 1 minute is not a number of milliseconds.
Yeah. Yeah, that's an interesting one.
Yeah, I'll try 30 seconds and after we get understand how to pass in argument stuff. Okay, so it's doing this, then it's just saying greet, which we imported from the activities, and it's just returning that. So example is the actual workflow,
and name is the
that workflow
argument.
just returns.
You want two names? Add an attribute here, and that's where TypeScript was preventing you. Maybe.
Yeah, I agree.
Now call loop.
So now greet. Yeah, okay.
Just do name 0, name 1. Or there. Yeah. Smarter, Alan.
We'll do that. If I could have logged into Amazon Q, I just would have had it write that for me. But I'm not going to go do that. It's my own fault. The Q just got released this week. Like it just went GA. I was talking.
Yeah.
I was at the AWS office earlier this week in where was I? In San Francisco, and the guy that owns Q was telling me about how excited he was about it.
It definitely feels different than Code Whisperer, right? I've been trying it for a couple of days. It's there. I need to either turn off Copilot or Q, but having both at the same time, you start getting like suggestions, and then one beats the other, and oh no, I really wanted the previous one and can't get it back. It still doesn't like it.
No,
Interesting.
That's
so an array of argument. It's an array of arguments, and the first argument is an array of strings.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Okay, so let's do it. So we have task queue, go to hello world. We're going to pass in your name and my name, and then we're going to give it the workflow and the ID. Yeah.
Seems legit. Let's do it.
Okay. I guess this is my machine name, Alan Momento.
Oh, look at that.
Let's see. So we're still running? Yes, still running. Run workflow.
Hey,
it did something. Look at that. Oh, it knows we're here. So let's take a look at what that looks like in the dashboard. Okay. They're all completed, which makes sense. They all finished. How are these sorted? Most recent, newest,
55. Old. It's that one. Yeah, the top one is the one.
Newest old is good. Okay. So we have in here There are 8 workers. Wow. I wonder if that's configurable.
Is that to receive more requests?
I think it's just yeah. I think that's the horizontal fan out capability.
Okay.
I think. I mean that would make sense to me, but I could be wrong. I've been wrong once.
I'm gonna look.
It doesn't say 8.
Anywhere? Oh
No.
8. Let's try it. Ugh.
What did you ask?
I did not ask. I just looked for 8 in the code.
Oh, you searched for the number 8. Wow, that's great.
How do you configure package lock?
Okay.
Went crazy. How do you configure? These are worker, right? How do you configure the amount of workers for a workflow?
Mhm.
Workers
Okay.
for a workflow.
So while you do that, I'm going to poke around at what a workflow looks like now that it's done. So we have the type was example, and just to tie things back to what we were looking at in the code. So the type comes from literally the code. So the workflow definition files that we have here was example.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So we're going to end up making another one of these. I'll leave example alone. So the run ID is just a random GUID. So this is important. It says the history size. So we are charged for the amount of history when we use Temporal Cloud. So that does matter, but it's 1.3 kilobytes. It's not that much. It completed in 61 milliseconds, and it did 7 state transitions. Goodness, that seems like a lot.
Yeah.
We just did one thing.
Is it giving you? Yeah, there's the state. It looks very similar to step function.
It does, but that's 11. That's events. That's events. There is a very big distinction between the number of state transitions and event. JSON? I don't know if this is input or output, honestly. Oh, cool. Look at this. Look, you can see how the data is transforming step by step through each event.
Wow.
Oh, I like that. Oh, I like that a lot.
What does that toggle on the decode event history do?
Nothing.
So turn it off and transition on the little arrow. See
Good idea. No.
Yeah, I don't know. What
oh well, is. Yeah, here it is. Here it is. Input is encoded here. Yeah. There you go. So I assume there's some sort of role-based access control for this, for the dashboard to make sure that you can or can't toggle that.
History size.
Interesting.
So they give you the information very clear on the top, right? The history size and the state transitions and the event history. So you get kind of the view.
I really like this a lot. Like this, there's a lot of power in what we're looking at right now.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I'm still a little confused on the state transition thing. Can you ask
7?
Yeah, actually, I'll ask.
First, the question I already asked is the getting more workers. It says there's no way to configure that. You just spin up a new worker.
A new worker object. A new worker object because it's clear that worker object is not actually 1.
Yeah, it's 8. So if you wanted 16, then you would double up on that worker object, I believe, which is the create. Because the worker is reading from a queue. That's where I'm looking at, right? The hello world queue. So you're spinning up a worker to listen to that queue. If you know you're going to get load, you do 2. You do a loop with 2 for that queue, and you get 16.
This answer here for what is the state transition doesn't really help me that much.
This is a measure. Yeah.
It refers to a change in the state of a system. Yep. In the context of temporal, state transitions represent temporal writing to its backend, to the persistence backend. So it doesn't actually, okay. Okay. I'm just going to keep saying okay as things come into me, and then I'll eventually get to what I understand now. So this is a measure of how much work temporal itself is doing to ensure your executions are durable. And state transitions per second is used as a throughput metric to compare numbers across different workloads. Wonder why. For example, in an actor model, a state transition could be an actor changing its internal state, such as a formal state machine or a Boolean e-number flag that defines how the actor should process another call. Okay, so here, I said okay in an exciting way, probably like 4 times as I was reading that. So let's go back. Let's go back here. So I bet there are 7 places where that data changed in this set of 11 workflow history items, because it said it was where it was persisting the state back. So
which would be kind of the completed, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I see 4 completed. And 1, 2, 3 scheduled.
Scheduled would be one that I would think.
Yeah.
Wait, how many completed did you?
I saw 4. I'm not counting the execution completed, but you have workflow tasks completed. You moved it, man. Workflow task completed, activity task completed, and workflow task completed. That's 3.
It might be, but I don't. I think I'll go onto their Slack later and ask, just because I am curious, but I don't necessarily want to spend the time that we have trying to figure that out. But that was interesting to me, and that's interesting. This is one of the things that you're charged for, is state transitions. So yeah, you knowing that we just had one activity. Let me look again. What are these? That's a lot. That's a lot of event histories for one piece, for one activity. Started.
I think you get the base, like in step functions, you get charged for the start and the end, right? I think it's similar, but it's maybe 3 and 3 here.
Well, like if we did this in step functions, it would just be the one state. If you look at it via the graph, which I kind of wish there was a graph in here. Kind of surprised that there's not. Nope. Anyway, in step functions, you have the little, like if you're looking at it being rendered visually, you have the circle up at the top, which represents the start state. You would have one greet state in the middle. It's a square. And then you would have one circle. Might not be a circle, like the final state at the bottom. So when you're actually running a step function execution, you have to pay a transition from, if you're doing a standard workflow, from that circle to your thing, and then from that thing to your to that final state. I thought there were 3. Yeah. I don't know.
and I wonder how it visualizes, right, which multiple workflows. That's one of the things I like about step functions is the visualizer, where you can see where it went through.
Let's see.
Right. I think this is more like that graph, the timeline visual, which gives you sort of the same information.
Mm-hmm. It looks like we can schedule things. So I wonder if
this captures your 30-second, or what was it?
The cron thing that I was trying to do?
Yeah.
Yeah. There have been some extremely fascinating discussions on that ever since I wrote that blog post, especially in the Believe in Serverless community. Tico had probably one of the most intriguing options. Did you see what he said the other day?
No.
It was like intentionally causing a Lambda function to fail inside of step functions, so it would retry, which pretty wild. Like you would have it back off. You would back off for 30 seconds and then retry, which is a fantastic idea. I was trying. I didn't respond to him for a while because I was trying to figure out a way to counter that as a really good idea.
Yeah, that's a clever solution.
It is. But it looks like this can do 30 seconds. Well, that would have been a much shorter blog post. I said just use temporal instead every 30 seconds. Yep. Let's see what happens. This is going to be my schedule. Workflow type is going to be example, workflow ID. I'm actually kind of okay.
There's
I don't
no
know
way
this.
to.
What do you think?
Yeah, because in the code you're using the nano ID. Yeah, do that. I mean, see what happens. Is there a naming collision? Maybe.
What am I looking for? Task queue. Yeah, we'll see.
It's hello dash world. It's in the worker.
Hello world.
In the worker TS.
Yep. Okay. Only single JSON. Yeah. So who's in our audience? Zied has been very popular talking. Who else do I see? And Danielle's in there too.
Sam
is in there, but I'm only, yeah, you know what? We'll might as well.
oh yeah, you did a join, right? With my solution, you would only get the first two.
Yep. Specify the time to offset when the schedule will run.
Do it. No, I mean it's start now, right? Is that optional? It is not.
Oh wait, this is JavaScript.
Ooh. Well, it's JSON. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I typed in JavaScript. I did the JavaScript notation of.
What was it showing an error somewhere on the screen?
No, but the button was disabled. Okay, so now we're gonna see. We're gonna see where we set up that schedule. That's nice. That it's doing that, and it is.
That's what I've been playing around
intervals.
with the. I've been playing around with the EventBridge scheduler, and it shows you the upcoming runs. Like, okay, I configured it correctly. It's nice.
Oh, that's nice. It's really nice. So yeah, we'll let that run, and while that's running, let's create a new workflow. And what I want to do is I want to see it time out. I want to see it fail. So let's create one that'll do that.
So you're gonna add workflow.
Let's call it failure. No inputs. People are jamming out here where I am right now. A function
Sam says he's here. Sam is multitasking. He's cooking, but what are you cooking?
Yeah, what are you making, Sam? How did I do this wrong? Like for real? I didn't return anything. That would be useful.
That's TypeScript. Are
I'm not used to getting errors as soon as I type something. Yeah.
I'm used to that. As soon as I type it, as soon as I finish typing, and as soon as I execute it, there's failures for me.
I just said something that indicates I don't do test-driven development.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's just give it weight. Let's just say
no.
Being so cool. Can't type ahead. Okay. Okay. So we have to go to activities because we now have to define that. Export async function wait. Did not give it params, but we probably should. Seconds. Number. Do you know how to do this, Saunders?
I don't know how to code, Alan. You know that.
Yeah, that's funny.
So just to me neither. It's set timeout.
It is? Okay.
But
I was totally going to get it.
Doing it async always gets weird, so just ask ChatGPT.
I guess it doesn't have to be async.
But if you don't do it, it's just gonna it's a callback kind of timeout. So it will not stop the code.
Of course, tell me what you want. Cool. And back.
There, you see how it wrapped it in a promise. Okay, makes sense.
Yeah. It would have taken us forever to get there. Okay, so waited for that long. Nice.
And it even transformed the seconds to milliseconds. Look at that.
So nice. Oh, whoops. I needed to do Control Tab, not Alt Tab.
Can you respond, I love you, ChatGPT?
Yeah.
What was the movie? What was it? what was the movie where, what was it? Joaquin Phoenix, where he falls in love with a bot like Siri.
Her?
Ah, yeah.
Is it
Yeah,
called
that's the one.
Her?
Yeah.
I never watched that one.
Me
It makes
neither.
me
Just,
nervous to watch stuff like that.
and that was like 5 years ago, 5-6 years ago. It's
Oh,
crazy.
gosh. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So right now it's going to wait for 15 seconds, which is
But we
not going to
needed-
fail.
Yeah, you need 70. Or make this shorter, see if it works.
Let's see.
Do 10
I guess I'm
seconds.
going to have to. I don't think I have this on like live reload. So that'll also show us our schedule is going to persist after we close it and bring it back. I don't think it will since we're just running locally, but we'll see.
Well, maybe it saves something. I don't know.
I just don't know what to put. I wonder if this brings me to docs. Nope. A durate. Oh, this will work. Okay, we can go here.
String value.
String value or number
From MS. What is MS?
milliseconds. What do you mean? What is MS?
No, but it's a pack. It seems to be a package, right?
Oh,
So yeah, I'm looking at the package. If you want me to share, or I can send you a link.
no, I got it right here. It's right here.
Oh, yeah, that's exactly what I'm looking at. So you can do 2 days, 1D, 10H. Let me see.
Okay, so if I could do like 10S.
Yes. Yes.
Is that one of them? Okay.
Yeah. I see a 5S is 5,000 milliseconds. It's all together. So 10S. Yeah, that would work.
You think that'll work?
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so we have created our new workflow. We've created the new activity, and we've made that workflow called failure wait for 15 seconds. Now we can go in here, and we want to change this because we don't want it to do that one anymore. How do we tell it which workflow to run?
That's where
Example.
or which
What's
activity
this?
to run, right? So this is the client. Go to the worker.
Well, this is it. This is telling it what workflow to run. So we imported example from workflows. So we'll also need to import failure. So we just made that. So that's what it's doing. So the workflow is the first argument, and then this is a configuration object in here, which makes sense. Okay, let's comment that out.
Okay, I thought you were going to start 2 workflows.
No, I'll just do the one.
And what defines the queue? Is that the worker or no, the workflow itself? I'm confused.
How did Hello World come into existence?
Yeah.
I don't know. Let's see if it's dynamic.
I'm going to browse around the code. Worker create task queue. Hello world. The task
Okay,
queue
I just started our brand new workflow that we created from scratch live with real code. So let's see what happens. Okay. Good. I didn't have to like recompile or anything. So it's waiting right now.
Okay. And it
for
should fail.
15 seconds. Yeah, so it says it has a +1.
Yeah.
No. All right. Let's see what it's doing. No workers running. No workers running. Okay, so this makes sense. Get this.
The workers
we gave it
listening
to a dynamic queue. We gave it to a different queue. We said hello world 2.
Yeah.
So that means that that's not a resource. So yes, you're right. You're right. Well, good. Hold on. I want you to say what you're going to say, but I need to say this part first. The part that we were testing with that was where was a task queue defined? Where was a queue defined? And it's not. It's dynamic, which I love stuff like this because I don't necessarily like managing those types of resources over the scope of time, but also that dynamic thing is really good for things like any sort of SaaS. Like Jason Wadsworth just did his session last week on user tiers, and he had a thing in there that he was talking about priority queues. So you could totally do that with, like, based on your users. You could throw them into a queue that has fewer workers, 8 apparently, versus like 64, and just work through at a different rate. So, okay, now I am done saying that piece. Please say your piece.
No, I blanked out, Alan. Yeah, so we have the worker. We need to tell it to. We define the worker with the task queue, right? So that's where it's defined.
Mm-hmm.
We're telling it, hey, listen for this dynamic queue. So now we need to tell this guy, the actual worker, to listen to that queue, which is -2, line 17. Right? So we could potentially create 2 workers that are listening to the same queue, or have one that's listening for the failure, one that's listening for the non-failure. So if you copy that,
This would be a terrible thing to call somebody a failure worker.
I mean, you did that, Alan.
I don't. That is not true. I did not do that. That is a joke.
I think people know you enough to know that's a lie.
I sure hope so. Let's do this, though. We talked about how you can take workers and scope them down from access to everything to individual workflows and activities. So let's do that here. Let's give the failure worker access only to that one activity. Okay. And the workflow. There we go. Dang.
Do you need a separate import?
No. You know what? Why don't you code this, sir?
No, it's fine. I like people doing work for me.
I thought it did, but maybe it
remember
didn't.
I'm the conductor.
You're the orchestrator. Yeah. That was good. I laugh every time I make those promo videos and the promo, just the graphics. That one is really funny. What made me laugh? Let me pause this and talk about what made me laugh. It's so much fun to talk about laughing. Just super quick aside, because I know people are actually interested in this. The funniest thing to me about the graphic that I made for this was, it was you doing your conductor over to the side, and then it was me playing a flute and a trumpet. And I want to say it was like 3 people. I showed it before I promoted it to 3 people, and the feedback that I got immediately every time was, "Why do you own a flute and a trumpet?" It wasn't, that's funny. It wasn't anything like that. That's clever. No, it was, "Why do you own a flute and a trumpet?" Priorities, I guess.
You kind of question why too, right?
Yes. Yeah. You were one of the 3 people that I showed. It's so dumb. In case anyone is actually wondering, they were hand-me-downs. That's it. That's the reason. Nothing else besides that. I do not play the flute or the trumpet. I do play other things. It is just not those. Okay. So let's get back to this. So we're gonna scope it down.
I didn't realize Baby Yoda fell down. I know you can't see him because of my name, but he's sleeping now. He's getting tired.
He did in the show. All right, I couldn't figure out how to do this with the existing import, so we're just gonna do it this way.
Okay.
And then failure. Okay. Oh, it's work. No, I'm sure there's a workflows. So that's an object?
So it's an activities object. So do colon. Let's try it. And then open up an object and then do failure. And then link it to activities.failure, I guess. Oh, I guess you imported it. So like that.
Yeah, but I guess we didn't need to do it that way. We could do it. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. There you go. You were right. Why aren't you the one typing all these things?
done too much typing this week. It's fine.
Too much typing. Okay,
It's
so we've
fine.
given it access to all of the workflows, which we don't want to do anymore. I wonder if there's a workflows are registered using a path as they run in a separate JavaScript context. So it looks like we can't scope it down
Unless
in kind
we
of the same way
separate
here.
unless we separate workflows per file, which would make
Yes.
sense in a production scenario.
I agree. So let's do this then. Let's try a couple of different things, because what I would really like to see is what happens if it attempts to run a workflow that it doesn't have permissions to run an activity in.
Okay.
Sound good?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a good test.
Okay. So I think we're good. Oh no, we're not good here. We still need to do something.
Actually run it.
Yeah.
So does this need to be
Can
like a parallel kind of thing?
That's what I was thinking. That's why I didn't just type. Let's do
Promise dot settled or all or yeah.
Just gonna do all. Yeah. I honestly have no idea if this is the way you're supposed to do things like this, but I do know that this works.
Let me ask Temporal AI. I'm liking that you can just talk with their AI and it's giving me answers.
Yep. The syntax isn't quite right. This is it. There it is.
Yeah, there you go. Okay. How do you run multiple workers at the same time? It still doesn't like it.
That didn't do it right.
This is where, let me see if I can.
Oh, promise to all accepts the array. I think that's what it is. I don't know.
Yes. So let's remove the async. Let's just do this. So I'm gonna kill this. And
Is this the code that the AI just gave you?
No, it hasn't responded yet.
Oh.
It just responded. Again, I'm not going to read what it's saying and just look at what it's doing.
That's fine. I'm about to go to ChatGPT unless you got it right now.
Go to ChatGPT. It's not giving me. So it seems, Alan, like in the hold that thought, my friend. Oh, we want several workers, not workflows. But
I was pretty close.
Yeah. Oh, you don't need to await it. Okay. Yeah, that's the promise. What the promise thought I was doing.
I also had it. I did like some weird notation. Okay.
We have an extra bracket or something missing. Yeah, we're missing one bracket that I might have deleted. So let me get that back in there. Let me format this for you. No, I don't have a TypeScript parser.
There you go. There you go. Okay, now we can run it. So we do have a terminal that's already running these workers. I believe it's this one. Yeah. So we will stop this execution. These are really verbose. These are super.
It feels
verbose,
like when you're running.
I guess is good and a bad thing.
Live reload for Angular or React. It's like, oh, I'm failing.
Yeah. Especially when it's my React that's being live reloaded. I guess we'll just do start because we really haven't been watching these logs. Let's just look at start and see what happens. Okay, so we should have, the 2 workers going. Let's take a look at our workflow history here. So we hopefully have this one actually working now. Yeah, so we have 3 workers that are up, and it is currently in a activity pending state. That's interesting.
Which is the wait, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so this one should be
should fail.
Look how many state transitions it's going through. I wonder if it's retrying as a result. Like this one, if it is retrying automatically, then I would expect this to take longer than 10 seconds to fail. It would take however many times it's retrying times
Can you
10,
expand
unless it's
the
doing
pending
it.
activity? There's the little
Yeah.
caret.
Yeah.
Let's see if it gives us
Not
a
found
number.
error. Great.
So you can see attempt number 7, right? There's
Yep.
7 attempts. So it is retrying.
Okay, so this was not the test that I wanted to run, but it is an actual conclusive test on what we were going to do in the future, where I wanted to give it give a worker a workflow that it didn't have the permissions to run everything, and so it looks like it has a not found error, which I guess technically is the most correct. Honestly, in my head, I was thinking that would have been like a 403, but we didn't explicitly deny access to it. It's just, it is actually not found.
Yeah, you're passing in an array and trying to execute on something that's not on that array. So I can make a case for the not found. Attempts left.
Okay, so
unlimited.
Is that what it said?
Scary.
Oh man, that is scary. Let's go back and let's give it access the correct way. So clearly we didn't do it right. That object that we gave it, it's not right. I don't know why, and I'm okay with not knowing why right now, and just giving it this so we can move on to the actual test, like what happens when an activity times out. Because what I want to do in the last section of here is actually make a workflow that's not just one step pass, one step fail. Because this to me is not very clear on state management. Like if we were making a state machine, this is not clear to me. It's not intuitive. Just saw someone eat it outside this window that I'm looking at. It's so much more entertaining here than it is in my office at home. Like it's going to see so many more things.
Are they all right, Alan?
Yeah, she's all right. It's pretty funny though. She fell, she got up, looked around, and then made eye contact with me through the window. Okay. I think we probably need to kill these workers.
And I'm looking just for my sake, looking at the workflow options just to see what's there. Oh, there's a lot of things. So you can set max concurrency for activities, and it differentiates between local or not local. So you can have whatever you want to differentiate there. Max activities per second.
That's nice. So there's a lot of different things that we can change with that.
Okay. Max task queue activities per second.
Oh, that's nice.
Max concurrent workflow task execution. So yeah, there's non-sticky to sticky pull ratio. I don't know what that is. Sounds fun. Max concurrent workflow task pulls. It's a lot of what's yeah. It is a legit.
No, I'm not. I don't. I'm not. No, you're good. You're good.
Max concurrent activity test. Yeah, there's a lot of options there. Cache.
I think we've got this one in a bad state.
It's running infinitely, Alan, based on the attempts.
But I stopped the worker that was processing it.
Okay.
I just don't know what it's going to. I don't know.
Can enable tracing. So yeah, there's a lot. Debug mode.
It looks to me like it's doing exponential back off on these retries because it's only at 10 attempts. So at the rate that it was moving earlier, it should have been, on like attempt number 100 by now. So if anyone that's watching doesn't know what that means, what an exponential back off is, it's when an error occurs and it's going to be automatically retried by the system, and exponential back off is waiting longer and longer every time you retry. And that's really designed to see, can the system get back in a good state again before I'm retrying it again? So that's that.
if you've called APIs or like the AWS SDK or something, usually you'll get in the response and an error. You'll get if it's retriable. So if it's like a throttling issue, that's definitely retriable. And one term I learned recently is jitter, it's the jitter strategy, right? And you can have that retry with a back off, but in case you have several things running at the exact same time with the exact same back off, you're going to end up with the same issue. And with jitter, you add a little bit of randomness to when it retries, so which is pretty cool.
Yep. So to put numbers on that, so let's say that you were trying to maybe your back off was like 5 seconds. With jitter, maybe one starts at 4.5 seconds. Maybe one starts at 5.5. Maybe one starts at, depending on the amount of jitter that you have, maybe it starts in 8 seconds, just to get that so they don't all slam in at the same time. It's a good explanation, Andres.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. It's still timeout. There it is. Yay. We got a different failure. There's engineering for you right there. We were happy at the new error. Timeout type start to close. And so it has that, and it's going to retry, and it's going to continue to fail. So what we should do, you said you were looking at the properties for the states, right?
Yeah. And I already asked their AI, and they do have retry with back off. And you can set the policy. And it's in the proxy activities. Remember we saw that wrapper? Yeah, there, right, exactly there. That's the object. And then that's an object where you can do initial interval. You should be able to see all the properties there.
Yeah, maximum attempts, we'll do 2. And then is there a back off? Yeah, back off coefficient. So nice, just do 0. And then probably just leave it at that, right? There's probably, so if the coefficient is 0, what is the coefficient is used to calculate the next retry interval. The next retry interval is previous interval multiplied by this coefficient. So then we need to define what the interval is. Yeah, initial interval, say, is 3 seconds.
So, Alan, I know you and I are heavy SAM users, but I wonder if anyone watching is a heavy CDK, or not even a heavy CDK user, but created step functions using CDK. If this experience is rather similar to the CDK experience around step functions, it might be.
Yeah, it's all typed.
So, if anybody has experience in CDK, drop a comment there and just let me know if it's similar or not.
How similar it is?
How similar, yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to start another workflow then. I'm going to stop the one. Okay, so just to recap what we changed here, what settings were just there. It was just saying we only had start to close timeout, which means that this activity, wait, the longest it can be running for that specific activity is 10 seconds. And then what we added was the retry configuration. So we said, if it fails, so if we exceed 10 seconds, then we're going to retry it 2 times. Retry up to 2 times until it works or it doesn't work. Wait for 3 seconds. So fail, 1, 2, 3, try again, fail, 1, 2, 3, try again. And then we set this back off coefficient, which was that exponential back off we were talking about a second ago, to 0. And it said that this was a multiplier. So the second time, let's say we fail, we retry, we fail, we're going to retry again. If we had set this to 2, it would wait for 6 seconds. And then if we failed again and retried again, it would wait for 12 seconds. Just
terrible at math because I was thinking 4, but yeah.
Okay, so it's funny. Okay, so this is the one that hopefully is only going to try a couple times. I really thought we'd been talking long enough to where it would be done. So it's at 6. And I'm wondering,
is that an icon or is it a button, that little refresh it's like a refresh icon, but I'm assuming that's what they use to.
You can't click on that. Can't click on that. It's just saying it retried number 6. I think that comes in when it's
basic.
yeah. Yep. Okay, so my guess here is that the workers have that state in the pre-configured state, that activity in the pre-configured state. So we have to restart the workers in order for our change to get picked up. So let's do that. Don't you just love stateful compute, Andres?
It's beautiful.
It's not what I expected you to say.
Have to retry it.
Yeah. Like so what we're doing now, so we killed the workers that were out there before, and the workers, when they're created, they're given, let's look at it. They're given information about basically the current state of affairs. So since we changed the activity definition, we had to restart the workers to get that refreshed. And I'm sure there's a way to refresh that in a worker. I say I'm sure. I hope there's a way to do that. We're just not going to do that right now.
I think we broke
these
something.
errors make me not feel super great, but let's march on. So we're going to start a workflow again. So this one, guaranteed success. It's going to fail twice. It's going to fail 2 times with waiting 3 seconds between each failure. And then it's going to fail a 3rd time. And then hopefully what's going to end up happening is the workflow itself goes into like a failed state. That's really what I want to see. I want to see a red status indicator. So let's
get it.
Yeah, guaranteed success. And look, our 30-second one's still going on. So I guess what we configured in that schedule, while we wait for this to fail, you see these are all prefixed with 1. So if we go back over here into our schedule, where do I see the metadata? Nowhere. We had it configured with 1 in here. So really this is the workflow ID prefix would be a correct label for that.
And is it added like a daytime? What was
Yeah,
was it?
It was the execution time in ISO 8601 format.
Okay.
Which is nice. That's nice. And it seems to be working. You can let's click on one of those runs. Let's go look. Okay, I really expected this to be failed by now.
It doesn't seem like it's executed the activity yet.
Nope. No, it doesn't.
But it has 14
So there are workers. There's workers here. I wonder if they're all being tied up in these other ones that are running. Like what's happening?
Request cancellation. I don't know, who would have thought we can't fail? That's just kind of how we roll.
I've been in production war rooms with you enough times to know that it's not true.
That's good. That's a reason. I don't want it. Terminated.
Okay, and then I get the other ones just keep disappearing. I guess like this one, if I do request cancellation, what does it do? It's canceled. It still says running. It still says running. It still shows up.
Oh, you can terminate. Okay.
Okay. And then this one, for whatever reason, is hanging.
I saw a new tab, or not a new tab, but I hadn't noticed that call stat one. Does it have something interesting at the top? Oh, because it's in a failed state. Oh, interesting, but it's still running.
It has 1 relationship. Oh, okay. Okay.
Okay, they're terminated.
I'm about to just kill everything and restart from the beginning.
I think we should. I mean, I wasn't we got a lot of errors when you started the worker.
It did. Yeah, it did error a lot for whatever reason. So this, okay, I'm just going to stop this workflow. Let's look at this bigger window. So this unspecified task queue kind. Leave it alone.
In task queue.
What were we doing in this
look
one?
into that.
Oh, okay, that was just a different. We can get rid of that window. We don't need that. Okay. Back off coefficient must be greater than 0. Okay, so it was a skill issue. Let's.
Oh, you can't do 0.
No.
But where was TypeScript when you need it? Come on. I guess you can't
I put in the right
specify that
type.
rule.
I really thought.
But
I really thought you could, but
might it
like you
need?
could put. Where is it? Oh, activities.
Yeah. No, it's in the
No, not activities.
workflow. It's where you're defining the workflow.
Yeah. Okay. Back off coefficients 0.1. What type can it be? Yeah, 0.1's a number.
Minimum
All right,
1.
Here we go.
It says minimum 1, Alan. No. You're gonna fail again.
Developers don't read the documentation. Okay, here we go.
Caught this one.
Yes, good job. Okay, so this is starting the workers. So we have hopefully put everything in a good state. Okay, good.
That's better.
Good. Yep. And now we're going to go back and we're going to start. Boom. So I guess that's why the scheduled ones weren't working either, because we really got into a bad state with the activities. So when we restarted the workers.
I wonder if we got less visibility because it's local. Or if you're using like Temporal Cloud, you would get more information. I guess it wouldn't let you deploy it.
Well, I mean, there was a startup error on the workers. You'd probably have something. Okay, this is good. So it said that it timed out. Let's go back.
Refresh.
Hey, look, it says failed. Yay!
Celebrate. Do you have the horn?
Yeah, I can totally do that.
You know, Jonathan's not in the background when we're not getting the cool sounds.
I know. Yes. It's so weird to just like play the air horn sound on a failure, but we will anyway. Oh no.
It got stuck.
Okay, good.
There you go.
He has a lot more skills than I do in StreamYard. Okay, so we waited. Let's look at, what should we do? History?
There we go.
Okay, so
There's
starting from,
nice.
Yep. So it started, it completed. What's the data in here? Not
That's
much.
I think that's just system
that's the workflow
level.
one. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
So there's the activity
task started, activity task timed out.
Nice.
10 seconds later, which would have been the full thing. So we didn't even get logs. We didn't get logs in that activity when it was doing its active retry. But it did it say up here?
Where were we looking when you got that little retry thing? I guess
that was here on this.
So click the state. Can you click that activity there? Did it actually retry state maximum attempts reached?
Yeah, so I mean that means it did work, and it did take 10 seconds. Looking at the other logs, wherever. How did I get here? That's useful. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. So that's just a point to note. That's just like a lack of visibility into the individual retries. And I don't know, is that a good thing, bad thing? Does it matter? Might not matter. What do you think, Andres?
Oh, what was that?
Like this right here. We have the activity task times out, and it didn't explicitly say each one. It didn't say that it retried it a couple of times. Whatever. Are you okay with it at the task level versus the individual retries level? Step functions does. Step functions does show you the retries and the execution history.
I'm not sure. Right, it's like the SDK retries for me, and I don't even know.
Yep.
So I'm fine with that level of abstraction if I'm not getting charged for it. If I need to protect my costs and retries are duplicating my cost, I would definitely need to plan for a retry strategy in case of failures if I'm getting a lot of them. So
Yeah,
it depends, right? The best answer.
of course. Okay, so last thing that we're going to do today, because we have about 14 minutes left. You want to make one more workflow that does multiple activities?
Yeah.
Let's use some of the stuff that we already have. And how about we make a workflow that, man, there's so much unknown here, but why don't we do a workflow that greets the people that we pass into the array? Like let's update this one. Let's update example.
Okay.
It greets everybody, and then it has another state that maybe counts the number of people that are in there. It counts the number, and then what? Maybe we just pop a name off the list until the array is empty.
That's done. Yeah, kind of like a map. I'm good with that.
Yep. Okay. I don't even know where to start. Like,
I'm trying to think
legit,
how to chain activities, right? That's the how do I tell run
example
then failure.
Okay, so this is okay. All right, now I think it's starting to make sense. So we're creating these as proxy activities, which I think is going to create these as something that Temporal can understand, like conceptually as a construct. And the workflow itself is returning a string. So I think what we can do is create some of these activities that just do random things. So let's do this. Let's do export async function count, and that's we'll do names, and it has string.
Yeah.
And that's going to be a number. Okay, and all this is going to do is it's going to return names.length. Okay, that's it for that one. It's just going to count, and then we will do another one. Remove name, and it will return a modified array.
Pop.
Const modified equals names. No, this is not right, because what that's going to do is it's going to return the thing that it popped.
Yeah, it's
it's going to modify the array. It modifies the array. So, but let's just create a deep copy of it, just for kicks. Okay. So we've done that, and I think that might be everything that we need to do as far as activities are concerned. So we have the names, the counts, and then remove an item from that array. And so let's do that. So let's go back to the workflows. Let's add in our activities that we just created, which was count and remove name.
Yeah.
Okay. And then down here, I think what we can do is we can say await. So we can do that. We can greet all the people that are in there. And then we can say, I think this is just code, Andres. I think we're just writing code. So number equals count.
Pass in the array.
So, okay, yeah. It's not, this is, oh, hold on, I did the wrong thing. This doesn't need to be async. Let's make it not. Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
Because I don't think you need to do that.
You still have the async at the beginning. That's why it's complaining. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. What's wrong with this?
Why is it what?
It might need async. I think it will. Hold on.
It requires the async.
Yep. Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
There's a lesson learned right there.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's do this. How do I want to do this? While
It's
let number. This is what we'll do.
But do you no? I mean, do you think this is considering these? I guess there are activities. That's weird. Let's see how it graphs it in the workflow.
Yep. And then we'll do while. Let me spell number right. While number.
While you're typing,
zero.
I'll answer Sam. Right, he's back. He said, "Can you debug through the workflow? Breakpoints, etc." I asked their little Temporal AI chat, and there's a VS Code extension for that.
Well, that's nice.
Yeah, so I'll share that in the chat. Let me see how I can get to the chat. Where's YouTube? But yeah, there's an extension. I don't know at what level it allows you to debug, but it is something.
Okay.
There we go.
You're a lot less chatty when I'm actually writing code.
To what?
I get a lot less chatty when I'm actually writing code, even though this is probably the simplest thing I've written in a very long time.
I don't have the background music. I hadn't noticed, Alan.
Oh man. Okay, I'll fix that for the last 8-ish minutes. Better late than never.
Okay.
Better late than never. It'd probably be, I need to find music that is like suspenseful, since we're actually building something and I have no idea if it's going to work.
Yeah, when you're actually
you can see
in the code thinking, you can do dun 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 dun.
Yeah. Yes. This one's just called daydreaming. Let's see how that sounds.
That's the one we had the first time, I think. That sounds familiar.
Yeah. Night driving. Yeah, we'll just play that.
Yeah.
Okay. So looking at this, Andres, are you happy with the way this looks for our first try? Because I don't think we get too many tries. We're
gonna agree. We're gonna get a number, while number greater than console log, then modify the names, update the number, and go back. Yes, until it goes down to 0.
Good. Okay, yeah. So this is going to go through. This is a for loop. This is using multiple activities, and then returning a final statement. So in theory, if we pass in you and me, like our names, I don't even want to speculate. Let's just do it.
Let's just run it. Yeah. It's what I'm interested in here is what the graph's going to look like, right? Because it looks like we just wrote code, but these are wrapped in the activity proxy thing. So I wonder what Temporal is doing while running this with that wrapper.
Yeah, agreed. No idea. Oh man. Now what?
We got an infinite loop
now. Okay. All right. Abort. That was not right. That was just supposed to be building.
Writing
code.
Supposed
to be building the workflows or like creating. What on earth just happened?
We're not removing the name. It's what I'm assuming.
It's supposed to be. Because it's running. Let's look. So remove name goes to modified names. So remove name is just doing a pop, and then it's returning. Removes the last element from an array and returns it. If the array is empty, undefined is returned, and the array is not modified. So it's a
but it's returned.
It's a destructive operation.
Okay, so it's not. You don't need to reassign it.
No,
because it says returns it.
No, it returns the element that was popped, and then it modifies the array.
Okay. It says array is not modified.
If there was nothing, it says array was not modified if the array is empty. Yeah.
Okay. We're good. So that's fine. Let's see what we're doing on the workflow again. Remove name.
Greeting
got the
everybody,
modified
and then
names.
the part that doesn't make sense to me is that the command that I ran was starting the workers. I think.
Not the workflow.
Maybe it. What? Oh, hold on. Okay.
That's
npm
the
run start,
worker.
which is the workers.
So it's already
Okay.
executing.
All right, let's go. We're going back. We're gonna go see if there are workflows that are pending. Yeah, let's kill our schedule. For things like this, just as a side note, if you're a developer and you build things like this, don't make these reasons free text, because people are always going to do something like what I'm doing right now, or they're going to do AAA. Make it a drop down. Make it a configurable drop down if you need it to be configurable, but force people to choose something meaningful. Okay, so workflows. Let's terminate this one. Same with this. Gone. It's not helpful. Andres used to get onto me all the time on my commit messages, which, in hindsight, yes, you were right. You were right, because I would just say fixing bug in my commit message, and that doesn't help anybody.
Yeah. What bug?
Okay.
What'd you do?
Yeah. Right. Yes. Okay. So we are starting this, and I shouldn't. Good. Okay, I think it was just picking up one of the workflows that was in an existing state.
It was still there.
Okay, so let's do this. Before we do that, client, we don't need to run our old one. We don't need this. We need to do this one.
Yeah, with the orgs.
Back to the original one. Yep. Okay, and go. What's gonna happen? Is it gonna work?
It's promising.
No, I don't think it's promising, because I would have expected it to be done by now. It's still running, so I think it's in a loop. So let's see what it's doing.
We can at least see what it's...
Ooh, 850 state transitions. We are in a loop. But you know what? This is actually... Okay, hold on. Let's terminate this, because this is actually going to tell us what's wrong and how to troubleshoot it, because we can go through this event history and we can see what the data is. So result,
there's me,
was Andres, but it's in an array.
And then you got the other one with the one. So So the good thing is, the thing I'm seeing is, yes, it is executing activities based on just that wrapper and calling the function, which is pretty interesting and powerful, right? And then you get the visual of your code, basically, which is nice. An input is an array of an array. So do double. Wrap names and no.
I'm just gonna return names and see if that's the issue. Honestly, at this point, this is just for my pride getting it to work, because for exactly the reason that you already described. We saw it actually working and executing successfully in a loop, which is, I'll be honest, that building a workflow like that where it's just code, it feels easier than step functions. Now, it is just code, and it's not like directly integrating with services. You'll still have to do all your management of connection strings to the database and secrets and all that stuff. So it's obviously as simple as it gets. It's literally array manipulation what we're building.
But yeah, it would be interesting, like you said initially, like get this running in Fargate or something, and then you're basically still stitching up like a DynamoDB call and Lambda function and all that, and maybe even compare the performance, right, of those things. Would be pretty interesting. but it seems pretty simple to use. It took us a while to get all the pieces, how they interact. You are still doing it based on your coding ability, right? So I'm the one that usually says code's a liability. So this is pushing it back to doing regular code, right? Which is not wrong. But it's kind of the big difference between step functions and temporal. I keep saying temporal. I missed the O. But the big difference is that, right? It's and some people like the code, right? It's like similar to CDK versus SAM. I like SAM more because it's declarative kind of step function. The other one is just code. So, what are your thoughts?
Well, right now I'm not going to use it. Like Neon, what we did a couple weeks ago, totally going to use. Absolutely going to use that. That has a legitimate free tier. It can be used in the types of projects that I do on a daily basis for myself, right? For the advocacy work that I do for Memento and also for Ready Set Cloud. Totally fits into hobby projects that I do for that. Temporal, I'm not, because it costs $200 a month minimum in support, and I don't have that. I'm not going to spend that money on support. Now, in production, it might be a different story. But I'm having a hard time getting a fair assessment.
It's really unfortunate, that price tag that it has for the initial Temporal Cloud, right? Which is what you and I would usually go for. Hey, it's the free tier on the cloud where I can just use their stuff quickly. But it has that.
It's a pretty
just for support, which is the interesting part there.
Well, support's super valuable. Like if you're actually considering using Temporal for production usage, $200 is a drop in the bucket for the value that you're getting, right? It's still actually, from what we've seen, it is an intuitive service. It took us a minute to get there, and it's okay that it did. There's a learning curve in pretty much anything that you use. It doesn't really affect the amount of intuitiveness. Once we understood what the pieces were, we just threw ourselves in and said go. There's plenty of documentation. There's Slack, there's communities, there's a lot of stuff that can help you get where you need to go. But for like hobby projects, which is a totally unfair grade to say I'm not going to use Temporal, I wouldn't, because of that $200 minimum thing. I do like it. I like the idea of that. I just need to. I think we could probably do better tests in the future for composability, because right now it didn't really feel composable. I just felt like, well, why didn't we just do all that in line? But when you're thinking about it from like an enterprise scale, or you're doing something across teams, there's a huge benefit to that, because you can import packages that are effectively activities. You have the role-based access control. We can really build like a really nice hexagonal architecture in a workflow, given the way that they've constructed everything. Now, I personally also don't like managing workers. I don't like managing capacity. I don't like things like that, which you have to do here. But I don't make it a secret that I prefer the benefits of serverless over anything else. But it does have advantages. Like if you have the means to do it, if you have the observability and you have the FTEs to go in and monitor that and adjust it as necessary, I'm sure there's auto scaling things that you can configure too. That's just that's a workaround to the power that you get behind it.
Yeah, and I also really like their AI chat, because that's where I got most of my answers from to move forward. So that's nice,
as long as it's true.
Yeah, and there's a lot of documentation and all that you mentioned, right? So it's easy to set up. It took us, we weren't really reading the documentation in like the first, second, third step to understand the relationship between workers and activities. We were able to figure that out, which is pretty good. But again, it all goes back to the management of it, where, like, again, you and I prefer the fully managed versus me taking care of that, which is, it might have a place in some workflows. For me right now, I'm fine with the fully managed, because it just takes care of everything for me.
Yes, and that's been my motto for a few years. Just do it for me, please. I'm not an expert in managing capacity. Where my expertise lies is in app building. And I don't want to have to spend my cycles on watching the capacity of the workers and all that. Something that you need to plan for at various amounts of scale. Like you should probably know that I'm going to release this into the wild and I'm going to immediately get 10,000, 100,000, a million users. It's hard to forecast you're going to get a million users right out the gate, but it's very easy for things to go viral, and you get somewhere in that realm of 1,000 up to 100,000. Virality is insane in the internet age.
Yeah.
So it's hard, but you'd have to manage that on launch and on the first couple weeks after a launch. So interesting. Okay, so we're a little over time. Thanks everyone for hanging around. This has been really fun for us. I know I'm not going to speak for you, Andres, but I really enjoy these. I like learning in public. I feel like we get like the true. These are my first impressions of whatever it is. Yeah. And I mean, I am being honest. I've never used this before. Andres, you've never used this before. So
I didn't even
know as we go.
You went a step further. You actually installed it. I didn't even install it on my machine, right? So I didn't play around with anything. So it's cool to see how we can get something built, right, just off the bat, and just learning, like you said, with people viewing. Yeah. You can get the real reactions when I get stuck. It's because I'm completely stuck. And what do? Just go to ChatGPT, Google, or their AI tool, right? So it's
totally.
It's cool.
I agree. Well, all right. So everybody, we're gonna wrap it up. Have a great weekend. Andres, good to see you.
Good to see you.
And you know what I'm gonna do? You know what I'm gonna do this time? Since there's so many more people on the stream right now, I'm just gonna play us out on our fun video.
Nice.
And we're just gonna play out to that. Yes. All right. Let me pause the night driving sound. And then here we go. Cool. Bye everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you again.
Andres and Alan, they got a plan. Testing workflows with Temporal. A new grandstand. Building an app with serverless in mind. Live streaming their journey. Leaving no one behind.